Right, so today I'm going to be joined by Emma Greenslade, who is a mum of two. Oh, here she is. Hi, Emma. Good to see you.
Hi, Juliet.
Thank you for joining me today. And I was just starting the introduction. So this is going to be something I'm going to be doing with a number of mums over the next couple of weeks. And that is getting them to talk about their early experiences of becoming a new parent, because I'm going to be launching a program soon for first-time parents, and the idea is to take them through that first year, because as you're going to hear over the next few days, if you take time to sort of listen into these experiences, there are lots of things that can change and you might not be expecting things. So I thought it'd be a good idea for people to hear about mum's experiences. So okay, Emma, so do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself now, how many children you've got, and what you do with yourself now?
Okay, so Juliet, that's it. Oh, I just got the
see better now. Great.
to turn the lights on. It's so hot. And she's complaining that it's too hot in the house because we've got the log fire going, and it's going crazy. So I've got two children.
Very envious.
And yeah, I'll break out in a sweat soon. So I've got two children, both girls. One is 9 and the other 13. And I have been self-employed before the children were born, so it makes it very easy. And I am a mentor, intuitive consultant for single mums.
Fantastic, that's amazing. And you do some work around sort of money for single women, is that right?
That's exactly right, yeah. So I help women improve their self-worth so they can make more money, find value in themselves, and stop undervaluing, and to find their worth so they can be an inspiration to the next generations to come.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. So if we can just get you to cast your mind back to when you had your first daughter, do you want to just share with us what that was like for you? And yes, just tell us how you felt and what kind of went through your mind, and was it what you were expecting?
So I think the challenges for me of being pregnant and changing my lifestyle, and I had a camper van and I was very free, and I felt that a lot of things were going to change at that time, and I sold my camper van, and I had a fairly stressful pregnancy actually, and I was running my business, so I had a large property portfolio. And that was stressful in itself, with tenants not paying and anyway, whatever. So my first daughter was late, and so that was quite. It was just uncertain how the labour was going to be. But then once she came, I think the biggest shock was how my life changed, for the better, but also the freedom aspect, of being able to do what I wanted when I wanted and what have you. I had this responsibility now, and unfortunately my daughter's father was not the most supportive, and so I think that in hindsight, it's about really asking those deep questions of each other and what's expected of each other prior to even getting pregnant. And then what's going to happen, how's the baby going to be looked after? Who's going to do each of the things? Obviously if you're breastfeeding, that's only a mum thing, and I thoroughly recommend the breastfeeding. It takes a bit of while to get to grips with it, and to learn. The biggest problem for me was latching on, and it was very easy to latch on one side and not the other side. So one boob was massive and the other was small.
Oh, there's always lots of trials and tribulations.
Exactly. You know, you don't ride a bicycle immediately, and you don't tie your shoelaces immediately. So why, you know, we all get told that being a mother is the most natural thing in the world. On one hand, yes, motherly instinct takes over, but if you've had no experience of children or babies, or, you know, I hadn't had any experience of babies really. My sister had a baby, but she lived 200 miles away. So it was all really new for me. And I think being kind to yourself, and that, you know, but being kind to yourself is so important, because so my first daughter was very small and she didn't drink a great deal. And so the health visitors kept telling me, she's too small, you need to feed her more. So, oh my goodness, you need to put her on formula. And yeah, I felt so harangued, I suppose, by the health visitors that I stopped taking her down there to get her weighed, because I felt it was just it wasn't positive. It wasn't a positive experience for me. So yes, that was the first experience. And I think, you know, sleeping, you don't understand what exhaustion is like until you've had a baby. And you know, the fact that I hadn't slept really properly, because my daughter was 2 weeks late, and it then took them 5 days to get her out. I hadn't slept for almost 3 weeks, so I was exhausted before she even came along. But once you get into the rhythm of it, it's easy. I say that now.
Wow, that is quite a story. I mean, because your baby came, what was 2 weeks late?
Almost 3 weeks late.
Wow, that's a huge, you know, and generally when your baby is later, then, you know, they tend to be bigger. So if your health visitors were telling you that your baby was small and you need to feed her more, that's quite an unusual situation. But good for you for sticking to your guns and, you know, sticking with the breastfeeding and going through those kind of teething problems. And you're right, it's a learned skill, and it's the same with sleep. Sleep is, you know, a learned skill as well, and a lot of people don't recognize that. So it's been really great to hear your experiences of how your life completely changed from being this kind of businesswoman, you know, with, you know, this big property portfolio, to this tiny baby, and then having everything turned upside down. And then obviously, you know, you're saying you didn't really have the support from your husband and, you know, your sister who lived miles and miles away. And I think that's another thing that can make mums feel quite isolated. So they're really great points that you've raised there. So thank you for sharing, and I'm sure lots of mums will benefit from this, and hopefully, you know, they can start putting some things in place to kind of get themselves prepared, and, like you say, you know, learn to be kind, you know, to yourself. So thank you so much. And is there anything else you want to add?
I've got so many stories that I could tell you, but yes, there is something that I want to add, because the second child I had in India, and so it was a very different experience. First of all, she was grown in nature, and then I had a natural birth in a natural birthing centre, and it was all very natural, holistic. But more importantly, I gave myself the time to really bond with my baby. So the first one, I hadn't done that. You know, I think within a couple of days, I spent 5 days in hospital. But after a couple of days, I was out and about. Whereas in India, I wasn't allowed out. I wasn't allowed out for 6 weeks. And that made so much of a difference. And so it is about bonding with your baby, and it gives you that time. And we were fortunate enough that I had a maid, and I had a nanny, and I had a chef. Okay, we don't have those luxuries here, but we have got things that we can put into place before the baby comes along, so we can spend far more time bonding with the baby and really think about that time of not going out, so you haven't got those distractions, because everybody goes, oh yeah, but the baby sleeps, but it's not proper sleep.
Yeah, and sleep is so important, and it's also really important for you as a new mother to recharge your batteries and just let your body adjust to the, you know, the changes it's gone through, and getting used to your new baby. And you're right, you know, babies are portable, but the more time you can spend really sort of bonding with your child, and, you know, not overexerting yourself, not going everywhere, you know, going out to the shops, showing the baby to your friends and everything. It is about that kind of time of, you know, womanhood, where you do get the chance to, you know, realize that, you know, what life's about, and spend that time really getting to know your baby, and for your body and your mind to sort of adjust to the whole experience, because every birth is different as well, and, you know, your feelings toward each child are different. So yeah, that was really, really great. So thank you so much. And I'm sure lots of mums, as I say, will benefit from hearing about these two completely different births. And yeah, I'm gonna have some more. So I think this is really exciting. So so thank you very much, Emma. And yes, that's lovely. It'll be
You're most welcome, Juliet. I hope to speak to you again.
definitely. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye bye.
Bye.